In this video, we will be talking about how you can use Google Analytics and Google Webmaster Tools so you can track the results of your SEO work, so you can see what your traffic is doing, how it's increasing, how people interact with your website, and also how you can leverage a tool like Google Webmaster Tools so you can kind of keep up on the overall health of your website. So keeping track of your website stats with Google Analytics is very important. It tells you some very extremely important details about your SEO efforts. It'll give you a clue into how visitors are actually viewing your content. How are they interacting with it? Are they landing on your page and quickly leaving? Are they only spending a few seconds on certain articles or certain pages? That would give you a great idea as to what kind of content you need to start working on. And we mentioned that's an area where you could actually improve upon is look at pages on your site, look at the bounce rate on certain pages within your website, and really get an idea as to where you could actually improve things moving forward. It'll show you bounce rates by pages, so you could actually improve certain pages. If you're getting an extremely high bounce rate, it's going to hurt your overall quality score in the eyes of Google. And so you want to do a really good job of having excellent content that makes people want to stay around. The average time on your site, you can see maybe what kind of factors are making people leave quickly. It'll let you see what browsers people are using. So that kind of helps you optimize their experience. It'll also tell you things like how many of your visitors are coming from mobile. If you're finding a very large amount of people are coming from mobile devices, then that should really kick you in gear to get a responsive design done. Not only for the long-term SEO benefits, but also for the here and now for those visitors that aren't getting a good experience right now and may never come back. It also will tell you the keywords people are using to land on your site. And this is a really important measure there to see what kind of keywords are people finding you for. A lot of times within your Google Analytics, or if you're using another software, as we'll mention here in a moment, to track what keywords people are finding you for, you're going to be blown away at the phrases that people actually may land on your site for. And it may actually give you some indication that, wow, I need to actually do more articles on this certain subject matter, or I need to optimize my site better for this keyword because I rank on page 4 for this keyword and I'm getting all this traffic. So if I did some extra work on this page that's getting all this traffic and did a better article or better content that's more engaging and gets more shares and maybe some backlinks to it, then I could actually be on page 1 and get 3 or 4 times the traffic to that one page than I was getting. And so keyword research is really, really key here. And it'll also give you ideas of what kind of things your customers want when it comes to product creation, when it comes to additional content creation ideas, like what kinds of articles to put on your site. It'll let you know also important conversion statistics. That's one thing Google Analytics does well if you choose to use that feature. So using Google Webmaster Tools will also tell you the overall health of your website. So Google Analytics tracks your stats and how people interact with your content. Google Webmaster Tools will tell you kind of the health of your website. And by health, we're talking about, again, additional keywords people are using to find your site, how many impressions. They actually tell you interesting statistics like how many impressions do you get for certain keywords within the search engines. And that's a valuable tool because it'll also tell you that maybe you need to improve your title tags or your meta descriptions because the click-through rate is extremely low. It'll also let you view health measures like issues crawling your website. Are there a lot of 404 errors? Are customers landing on pages that used to be there that are no longer there? Those are things you want to clean up, and you want to maybe put an opt-in page so they're at least landing on something instead of just a generic 404 page and leaving. Send them to a squeeze page or something just to get their name and email. Are there problems with your robots.txt file? We talked about how that's an important on-page SEO factor, but Google Webmaster Tools will tell you if there's issues. Is Google not able to spider certain parts of your website that you want them to spider? Are you having issues with a Google penalty? Sometimes in the past, if you've hired somebody to do backlinking or you did backlinking in the past and now you're finding that all of a sudden your rankings have plummeted, it could be that you're under a Google penalty because Google started to penalize sites that were doing those link building tactics that were good 3 years ago that are now no longer good. And we talked all about link building and we gave you 10 methods that you can follow for clean link building moving forward, link building that works now and that will work into the future and that has worked for a very long time. Those are the methods you want to focus on. But if you had too many links with, let's say, anchor text pointing to you, this tool will actually tell you, hey, maybe you want to consider removing these links. And so you could contact those web owners and say, hey, look, could you please remove this backlink? It's hurting my rankings. And if they won't do that, Google actually has what's called a disavow feature that you can access within Google Webmaster Tools. And then that link won't actually hurt you or affect you as bad as it used to. There's also will tell you things like, are there errors on certain pages? Is there malicious code being injected on your site? Sometimes if a hacker takes over your website, you may not know it until several months or several weeks down the road. And what they've been doing is they've been capturing details on your visitors' browser history, which that opens you up to all kinds of issues. Not to mention, it's going to end up hurting your Google ranking because Google doesn't want to rank a website that's been hijacked. And it's nothing that you may have done. It's just something that a lot of times websites do get hijacked with malicious code. Well, Google Webmaster Tools will kind of be your first alert for that. And this is a completely free service. So it's something that you need to leverage, that and Google Analytics. You could also use a server-side traffic tool like Webalizer or AW Stats for that. And then, that is also found within web hosts that have a cPanel on them. So web hosts like Bluehost, HostGator, some of the big ones out there in the industry. Most web hosts that have a cPanel provider will have a tool called Webalizer and also AW Stats. So those are two additional tools that you could use as an alternative to Google Analytics. I recommend kind of using all three because they're going to give you some great intel. Google Analytics is a little more robust in their reporting and does an excellent job. Here's another tool. There are some people, some people, they don't, for whatever reason, they don't trust Google fully. And I understand that, and that's out there. And so there are some people that they don't want to use Google Analytics. They don't want to tell Google everything about their site. So there's another tool out there called Clicky, which is a very popular real-time web analytics solution. And when it says real-time, it's actually really cool because you can see when you're logged into Clicky, it'll tell you what people are doing on your website. How are they interacting? What pages are they on? How long are they there? And that's actually a really cool tool if you're doing like a big promotion or a really big blog post, or let's say you have your own product launch and you want to quickly see how people are engaged with your content. It's kind of a fun software to use, and it really has some robust tracking features along with heat map tracking, and it will tell you like where people are. It'll tell you real-time stats, like right now, stats for the last week, the last month, every day. It'll tell you what keywords people are finding you for. It tells you basically the same information that Google Analytics does, but it actually takes a little more of a step forward. And there is a little bit of a cost involved if you really want to open up all the features of it. But it is a cool tool that a lot of people leverage. So I wanted to mention that, especially if you're someone that you didn't necessarily want to use Google Analytics, so you were relying on AW Stats or Webalizer. If you want to get even more features, because AW Stats and Webalizer, they can kind of hold you back a little bit on the data you're getting. They're not the best tools out there, but they're not bad and they're free, so you can't complain. But Clicky is a really powerful tool as well to consider if you don't want to use Google Analytics. So here's Google Analytics. You can go to google.com/analytics. And this is just an example of just an example site that I have. It'll tell you the kind of data here that we're looking at. And I just kind of want to briefly explain this to you. So it's going to tell you sessions, which actually counts as actual views on your website. And then users, 505, that's going to tell you, that means for whatever period we're reporting on, and I can't recall exactly what period this site was. This might have been for the last 30 days. It might have been for the last day. I know this is just kind of an example test site that I quickly pulled up for an image here, but it just depends on whatever you picked. In the top right corner of analytics, you can actually select for the last day, the last week, the last month, that kind of data. And sessions, again, is website visitors, so visits to your website. The one that you're really worried about, though, is going to be users. So how many unique users, so unique individuals, are on your site? So that means 561 sessions, meaning 561 times people have gone to your site, and there is 505 unique users. And that's the most important stat, is the unique visitors, the unique users. And that means not you, because you visit your site maybe quite a bit, and so that may count as 25 sessions, but actually one unique user. So it's not going to count that way. And that's what's one thing that's cool about Google Analytics and Clicky and Webalizers. They tell you unique visitors. Page views will actually give you a really good indication as well as to how many pages are actually viewed across your website. So you see there's 561 sessions, meaning 561 times people have visited your website or a page on your website. But of that, that means only per session, people are only looking 1.6 times. Now, it depends on your website if this is a good stat or not. If this is a one-page sales letter, obviously it's not going to be very large. They're going to just land on this page and either leave or join your email list, those kind of things. But if you have a blog or if you have an e-commerce website, for example, and your e-commerce site has, several categories and products that people could browse, and they're only looking at one page on your site, 1.16, and they're leaving, then that's not a good thing. Then that means you need to improve the flow of your website. You need to really fix that up. Right here on this site, the bounce rate is pretty high. It tells you the average new sessions, which will tell you, like, on average of all the people visiting your site, how many of them are brand new people instead of repeat. So that means only 13% of people that view my site are repeat visitors. Especially if you have a blog, you would like to see that number much, much lower as far as the percentage of new sessions, because you want to see a high percentage of your readers coming back to you. Now, again, that could, kind of ebb and flow. If you're getting a tons of new visitors, like your traffic is really increased, then that percentage may be a little bit different. But what you really want to see is that you have good retention and a good amount of people coming back. And you'll see there's a chart over there on the right, a little pie chart. It says 87.5% roughly are new visitors, whereas 12.5% are returning visitors. And you obviously like to see returning visitors go up for any website, because that means people are coming back, they like your content. And that really will improve as you add better content. You should see that go up. The average session duration. So that means the average time they're on your site is 42 seconds in this case. And that's actually not a terrible number. To be honest, that means they're spending almost a minute on your website. And honestly, in this day and age where people have a very short attention span, you would get really concerned if that number was much lower. And it's going to depend too on your site. Now, if you have let's say you have a product that you're launching and it's a sales video, or you're selling an information product and it's a sales video that might take 15-20 minutes. If your average session is only 42 seconds, then that tells you there's a problem. That means your sales video is not engaging people very well. Or if you have, a nice blog post, it's going to take them probably a couple minutes to really skim your content. Now, what would really be a big problem is if on certain pages you're seeing like 5 seconds or 10 seconds. That means they're landing on your site, there's something they don't like, and they are leaving. The other information you're going to find is the language, which tells you that 78.61% are from United States visitors. The other one is English speaking from Great Britain. The C, I believe, stands for Canada. And then you've got French, people from France looking at it. And then it goes on down to Russia. And so you want to kind of look at where your visitors are coming from. Now, if you have a local business, obviously most of them should be coming from the US. And, you may have a problem if you're getting a lot of visitors from foreign websites that may not be applicable to you. So these are all good things that you can look at within analytics. And this is just the first dashboard you see when you log in. But the main thing I wanted to point out, though, was sessions, which counts how many times people visited your website. The users, which tells you unique visitors. That's the most important stat, is the users, because that tells you unique people that have looked at your site. So in this case, for whatever period we're looking at here, 505 unique people have looked at the website. And of those 505 people, there were 652 page views. So that means an average page view of 1.16. And you would like to see that number higher for most websites. You want to see a higher page views, as they go through your site. So here's an idea, as well as additional spots people are going, additional tracking. So here are some keywords that people are finding you for. Now this website here is called Fast Cash Counts, and this just gives you an idea. Some people are actually searching for the domain. These tells you the main keyword phrases. So as you can see, number 8 there, make fast cash online, and that tells you the different keywords people found. Make money online today fast, fast cash. So that gives you a really good indication. There were 23 keywords. This website's more of just a generic landing page site, and it's just a site that actually is just out there just to serve up, just basically my privacy policy and those kinds of things. But I wanted to show you an example of inside a Google Analytics account so you could get an idea as to, what you're looking at when you get back here. And yours is going to see keywords, especially if you've done a good job with your branding. What will end up happening there is you're going to find that people are searching for your brand name, or they're searching for your name. And another thing to point out, you'll notice number 1, and this is going to become more and more the case. You're going to see that not provided for the keyword becomes the higher option right here. So not provided is going to be something you're going to see when you're actually looking at what keywords people are finding you for. And that's because a lot of people are searching in private browsing. They're doing private searches, and Google does not report that kind of information. So there is an option oftentimes when you first start using a search engine, or if you log into Google and you're actually logged into their account, where Google's not going to share that information with you. And so that's why, sometimes the majority of your actual keywords people are finding you for are actually hidden from you. And so that's why it's really important to use a combination of methods, to use Google Analytics to find keyword ideas, but also to use other keyword research methods like the ones that we discussed. Because not provided, that's what that means. It means they're not going to share it, especially if somebody's logged into their Bing account or their Google account. That's what they're looking at. Another thing, this is Google Webmaster Tools here. So if you go to google.com/webmasters/tools, you can actually establish an account with Google Webmaster Tools. And this will tell you new and important messages, first thing you see. So right here it says no new messages or recent critical issues. And that's really important because they tell you if there are errors. The crawl errors, notice here under URL errors, they tell me there's 8 server errors, 23 pages that are not found. And so this is a website that has pages that have been kind of in and out of there. And so that gives you a good idea that, wow, maybe I should, tweak these pages. Maybe I need to put up just a generic landing page on these sites, or maybe I need to add these pages back up, or maybe accidentally these pages were pulled down unnecessarily. All kinds of different things, for why you might be seeing that. The search queries, this one is a cool tool. It'll tell you that there were 48 queries, meaning 48 different keyword phrases you gained impressions from within the search engines, and that's in the middle there. And that's a really cool tool because it tells you that this particular website over the last 30 days, again, this is a test type website, it had 1,372 impressions and 71 clicks from the search engines. So that means you had about 1,400 impressions roughly, and then 71 of those times you showed up in the search engines for that keyword that you actually got an impression. Where your website showed up in a Google listing, you only got 71 clicks. Now obviously you would like to see that number be a much higher percentage. The higher your impressions are, of course, the more exposure you're getting within Google, and also the higher click-through rate. Though you'd like to see that click-through rate maybe 3-4 times what we're looking at here. And so that would indicate that there's possibly a title tag issue, the meta description isn't enticing people enough. And so those are things you could look at and say, wow, I need to improve upon that. And then the sitemap, that'll tell you kind of what URLs are submitted and URLs are actually indexed. So here's kind of the top queries that people found for you. Now this one is interesting because this website here is not really, does not have an awful lot at all to do with motion background loops, but there's like a post or two on this site related to that. And so as you can see, there's a drop down menus where you can look at the certain dates, but you'll notice here free video loops, free motion background loops. If you look down there, the phrase background loops had 427 impressions. Those are like the video background loops. And and then I see 0 clicks. So that means nobody has actually clicked through on that. And so that would tell me that there's some things that I really need to clean up as well, to get people to check that out. And it'll actually tell me like my average position for the phrase background loops is 8.9, which means that I am typically on the first page of Google for the phrase background loops, which is a pretty big keyword phrase, especially for a test website where it really wasn't trying to rank for it. And so that means, I'm on the first page, but I'm not getting any clicks. So maybe I need to actually go back and improve that. And so as I go through this is just more of an example here. But with some good SEO, you can actually get yourself ranked on the first page of Google by accident even. The other one, this will tell you links to your website. This is under search traffic. So you'll notice on the left-hand side there of Webmaster Tools, it'll tell you search queries and then links to your site. This will tell you how many different websites are actually linking into you, what kind of linked pages people are finding you for. So here's like content for reprint.com. There's one linked page into your site, blogspot.com, 2 linked pages going to your site. And you can go on down this list to find where backlinks are coming into your site from. Site errors, this one is under the crawl errors. So if you go to crawl and look up crawl errors, there are 8 server not found issues, some additional issues to go through as well. And you could actually look it up, like how people are interacting with your site on desktop or smartphone. Are there more issues on the smartphone? And that would indicate that you need to make your site more mobile friendly. The next thing I want to show you here, apart from Google Webmaster Tools and Analytics, is a little bit about the AW Stats and Webalizer dashboards that you see inside your cPanel web host. So as you log in there, you're going to see AW Stats and you'll see Webalizer. And if you click on those, this will actually pull up a Webalizer for August, and it'll tell you the first visit and the last visit for that month there. And this is what AW Stats looks like. So it'll tell you unique visitors. They don't call them sessions, and they don't call them users. They call them unique visitors and number of visits. So unique visitors again means unique people. So this means on this particular website here, there was 4,416 unique visitors, and there was 13,042 visits across the website, meaning a lot of repeat visitors, which could be spider bots. There could be some additional issues as to why that's so high. And then the other thing was the pages. So that means the pages are actually higher on this one. So that means for every visit to the website, they actually spidered or looked through the website. The people actually looked through the website 2.5 pages per visit. As far as hits go and bandwidth, I typically just ignore those sections unless your bandwidth is extremely high, meaning it's just way higher than normal, like 100 gigabytes, almost a terabyte of bandwidth. Then that might indicate there's a problem, like there's some sort of a malicious code being injected. So you may just want to keep a close eye on that. Casually just look at it. But your hits, that generally would mean every time something shows up, like an image or something else. So hits, those are really not that important. People used to think hits were extremely valuable, but actually it's more the unique visitors and then how many pages those unique visitors are looking at, and as opposed to like the number of visits as well. And so this one means that every time somebody visits this website, on average, they visit 2 to 3 pages on the site. So it's a little bit better than the last one where they were only at 1.16%, meaning they were only looking at one page. Most people are only looking at the first page they landed on and leaving. And as you go down here, you'll see like it'll give you the backlog for the month. You'll see unique visitors and the number of visits and kind of how this site has performed related to that. So if we scroll on down here, you'll see number of visits and that kind of information. Another thing to look at, you'll see what kind of key phrases were used on the search engine. So they will also tell you keywords, but that's just going to tell you more like generic keywords, just single keywords. You want to look at key phrases. And so what you'll find here is, starting a strength routine did well. Mark Ripito starting strength, energy drink brands, Mark Ripito workout. And so this Mark Ripito is a guy that has a weightlifting product that I could be an affiliate type, an affiliate for. And that tells me, wow, I'm actually getting some good traffic. Maybe I should optimize that page a little bit. Maybe I should throw on a bonus or do a video review for that. And powerlifting workouts. So maybe you might want to see where you rank in Google for powerlifting workouts and then do some work there. A standing barbell press. That's an exercise people may want to know about. So maybe I could do, highlight that one better. And Webalizer, this is a little different tool, and it actually tells you basically the same data. It's just kind of thrown in a little bit differently. So it'll tell you total unique visits and total visits. The one thing to keep in mind with Webalizer and AW Stats, now these are two separate websites here, but one thing to keep in mind, you're going to find a big disconnect. You'll find Webalizer reports many more website visitors than the AW Stats will, compared to even what Google Analytics will. And so if you're using all three, you're going to find that there are some quite a difference between those and in the range of numbers that they tell you. But what you really want to look at, Google Analytics tends to be the most accurate, them and AW Stats, but Webalizer will actually give you a good indication as to what keywords people are finding you for, the average time on the site, and it's going to give you an idea of if your traffic is growing. That's kind of the key with Webalizer, is really seeing that. Because the thing is with Webalizer, you can actually see quite a difference there, compared to what you're actually seeing within the other website. Another thing you'll notice, though, is you might find some similarities with the keywords people are finding you for, but you're also going to find some additional ones, like energy drink brands. That was a different one that I didn't realize. I had 7 visits. They call them hits here, but I had 7 visits to my site within the search engines when somebody typed in energy drink brands or the Mark Ripito. I noticed a similarity there, so that would tell me, hey, that's probably a page I should focus some effort and attention on. So that gives you some ideas there. And that wraps up our training here on using Google Analytics, Webmaster Tools, AW Stats, Webalizer, and Clicky to keep track of your website stats and also to keep track of the health of your website.